There is no time since 2001, when GSM phones arrived in Nigeria, that Apple has ever been in the top 5 of smartphone brands sold in Nigeria. Not once. Not once. And I have kept track in all that time. And in the last 5 years, we've had global statistics and analytics companies coming up with statistics to corroborate that. There is no time in the last 5 years, there's no time since the year 2020 that Apple has been in the top 5 smartphone brands in Nigeria. 80 to 90% of smartphone purchases in Nigeria were phones below 100,000 naira up till about 2-3 years ago. And it's only in the last 2-3 years that inflation has pushed the prices of phones up, that now it means that entry-level phones are costing 100,000 plus. And so most of smartphone purchases in Nigeria today happen below 150,000 naira. These are facts. You can dance around with sentiments, you can dance around with your love for a brand, but there are no iPhone models sold in that price range, except for very old, fairly used models. And that is the truth about iPhone ownership in Nigeria. Most of it is fairly used, old models. iPhone 6, iPhone 7, iPhone 8. Most of the people who are screaming iPhone, 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 and those are the models you own. Those are the models you're buying. There are a few people who buy the latest iPhone models in the country. A few people who have that kind of financial power to make that purchase. But most people, no, most people using an iPhone. You know, let's just stop. let's touch grass and face reality here, right? If you walk on the island and live in Ikoyi, GRA, Bagada, yes, you'll run into a lot of people who own iPhones, and you'd be mistaken to think that that is Nigeria. You see those areas, they are a very tiny subset of Nigeria. Most Nigerians do not buy phones in that price range. So Apple has never been in the top 5. Anyway, what led to this video? The list of top 5 smartphone brands in Nigeria is out again, and all the brands there are brands that sell budget smartphones. At the top of the list is Transsion. Transsion is made up of TECNO, Infinix, and itel. Everybody knows that TECNO, Infinix, and itel sell a lot of entry-level, affordable, budget smartphones. Of course, TECNO now has some models that are tending towards premium. Infinix too has some higher mid-range phones. itel's business is still primarily entry-level and lower mid-range territory. And it's no surprise that they are selling truckloads of phones every year. The Transsion brands have been the top-selling smartphones in Nigeria since 2020. It's possible that they've been before that, but my archives, I have it on record. It is clear the Transsion brands have owned the Nigerian smartphone market. As a matter of fact, as at last year, the Transsion brands owned 67% of the smartphone market in Nigeria. TECNO, Infinix, and itel alone owned 67% of the smartphone market in Nigeria. In second place is Xiaomi. Xiaomi took that spot from Samsung about a year or two ago. Samsung used to be number 2. Samsung is number 3 now. And then, in a very, very interesting twist of events, Realme, one of the newest phone brands in Nigeria, is in 4th place, pushing HMD Global to 5th place. HMD Global used to be in 4th. HMD Global is a company that produces Nokia branded phones. They now produce HMD branded phones. So if you see an HMD phone in the market, these are the guys who used to be Nokia. Now, one thing that is common to all these brands is that they sell budget phones. Somebody will say, but Samsung also has the S series and the Galaxy Z series, which are expensive. I tell you, those are not the models that are selling the most in Nigeria. The Samsung phones that are selling the most in Nigeria, Samsung A05, Samsung Galaxy A06, Samsung Galaxy A15. That range is where the bulk of the sales of Samsung phones in Nigeria happen. I tell you for a fact, the number of Nigerians that buy a Samsung flip phone, the number of Nigerians that buy TECNO's high-end phones, the flip and the fold also, they are very tiny. If Samsung were to stop selling those affordable phones in Nigeria today, they would drop off the top 5 list. Almost instantly, they would drop off that top 5 list like this. Because every other brand, Xiaomi, it's not Xiaomi's highest graded phones that sell the most in Nigeria. The models that sell the most in Nigeria are Redmi A3, A3 Pro, A3X, Redmi 13C, Redmi 14C. That's where Xiaomi is making a killing in Nigeria. And Realme has been out in the Nigerian market officially since last year. They've been selling before last year, actually. They were quietly selling in the north. Then they officially launched last year, and they've been selling only budget devices, and they have already jumped to first place. That's because that's where the sales happen. Any brand that does not offer entry-level affordable smartphones in Nigeria just has no chance of being in the top 5 list. It's as simple as that. It's the dynamics of our market. Maybe in another 5, 10, 20 years, things will have changed, especially if we now have instrumental payment plans, device financing and all that, and people are able to pay little by little, pay small, small. Maybe these dynamics can change, but it will take a while, because it really doesn't matter how much you can pay small, small. If your salary is 200,000 a month, how do you want to pay small, small for an iPhone that costs 1.2 million? You're going to spend 6 months of your annual income to buy a smartphone. Something has to be wrong with an individual to do that. So again, even if you are earning 500,000 a month, why would you want to spend 3 months of your salary on a smartphone? It doesn't make sense. Where do you get to rent money from? Where do you get transportation, feeding, clothing, and all of that? So it's going to take a while for brands like Apple iPhone, who don't have any budget models. It's going to take a while for them to even stand a chance of being in the top 5. Why do we not count fairly used phones when we make these rankings and talk about market share? It's because fairly used phones have been sold already. It has been counted as sold by Apple, by the retailers, by what it's been sold. We're counting devices shipping from the factory. So a car or a phone that has been sold 3 times to different people is still one device from the factory. It doesn't contribute to market share. It's still one device from the factory. So when somebody is using an iPhone 8 that he or she bought from someone who bought it originally, that doesn't enter into the statistics as a sale. That's a resale. So Apple fanboys, you still want to go on about this, about Apple being a strong brand in Nigeria? Nah, it's not. If we want to count Apple sales, we go through the official channels. iStore is Apple's official partner in Nigeria. Perhaps TD Africa is also bringing in iPhones from Apple. Go count the number of sales they make. The most affordable brand new iPhone in the market is close to ₦1 million. A lot of comfortable people won't even spend that kind of money on a phone. Anyway, have fun loving your phone, but reality does not care about your sentiments, does not care about how you feel about your phones. The reality is that here in Nigeria, the iPhone has never been in the top 5 smartphone brands sold in this country in over 20 years. Not once has it been there. I'll see you in my next video.